For decades, organizations kept running into the same frustrating problem. They would invest time, money, and effort into new technology. These are systems that were faster, more powerful, and technically sound. And they would do that only to watch people resist using them. The technology worked, but the adoption didn't. Researchers began to notice a pattern. These systems weren't failing because of bugs or broken features. They were failing because of how people felt about using them. Frustration, confusion, and lack of perceived value were quietly determining whether technology succeeded or failed. In 1989, Fred Davis introduced the technology acceptance model to better understand this problem. Rather than asking what technology could do, the model asked a different question. How do users perceive it? And how do those perceptions shape their behavior? That shift in thinking became foundational to how we understand technology adoption today, especially in complex environments like healthcare, where acceptance can matter as much as functionality. Building on that problem, the technology acceptance model offers a way to understand how users arrive at the decision to accept or reject technology. Rather than focusing on technical performance or system features, TAM focuses on user perception. It looks at how people evaluate a technology in their own minds, how useful they believe it is, how easy they think it will be to use, and how those beliefs shape their attitude and behavior. The model proposes that adoption is not a single moment, but a process. Users form perceptions, those perceptions shape attitude, attitudes influence intention, and intention ultimately determines whether a system is actually used. By mapping this process, TAM helps explain why two people can be given the same technology and respond to it in completely different ways. One of the biggest challenges organizations face is assuming that deploying technology automatically leads to adoption. In practice, this often isn't the case. Systems can be technically sound, well-funded, and carefully planned, but still struggle because people avoid using them, use them inconsistently, or rely on workarounds. The problem TAM explains is not why technology exists, but why people choose not to engage with it. Adoption is influenced by perception, experience, and emotion, not just functionality. By focusing on these human factors, TAM helps explain why resistance occurs and why adoption cannot be forced through design alone. To explain how users move from perception to action, the technology acceptance model breaks down adoption into 5 core concepts. These concepts describe the psychological path a user follows, starting with how they evaluate a technology, how they feel about it, and whether they ultimately choose to use it. Rather than treating adoption as a single decision, TAM frames it as a process. Perception comes first, attitudes develop next, intentions follow, and behavior comes last. By separating adoption into these steps, the model makes it easier to understand where acceptance breaks down and where intervention is most effective. The first core concept in the technology acceptance model is perceived ease of use. This refers to a degree to which a user believes that technology will be easy to learn and easy to use. It's not about how the system works in theory, but how it feels to use in a real situation. If a system feels confusing, time-consuming, or mentally exhausting, users are less likely to adopt it, even if it offers potential benefits. Perceived ease of use matters because people are more willing to engage with technology when it reduces effort rather than adding to it. The next core concept in the technology acceptance model is perceived usefulness. Perceived usefulness refers to a degree to which a user believes that technology will actually help them perform their job better. This might mean saving time, reducing errors, improving accuracy, or making work more manageable. Even when a system is easy to use, adoption will still suffer if users don't see clear value in it. Usefulness in this sense is defined by the user's experience, not by how many features a system has. Together, perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness form the foundation of how users evaluate new technology. As users form beliefs about how easy a technology is to use and how useful it might be, those perceptions begin to shape their attitude towards using the system. Attitude towards using the system reflects a user's overall emotional response, whether they feel positive, negative, or uncertain about engaging with the technology. This attitude matters because people are more likely to adopt tools they associate with confidence, comfort, or benefit, and avoid tools they associate with frustration, stress, or doubt. At this stage, adoption is no longer just a rational evaluation. It becomes emotional, personal, and influenced by prior experiences. Once users form an attitude toward a technology, that attitude begins to shape their behavioral intention to use it. Behavioral intention represents a user's conscious decision about whether they plan to use a technology going forward. At this point, no action has happened yet, but the decision is already forming. This intention is influenced by how users evaluate the technology overall, how they feel about using it, and what they expect their experience to be like. The technology acceptance model emphasizes this stage because intention is one of the strongest predictors of actual system use. And the final stage of the technology acceptance model is actual system use. This is where behavioral intention turns into real behavior. Users may fully adopt the system, use it in only limited ways, or just avoid it altogether. When adoption is incomplete, users often rely on workarounds or alternative processes to get work done. These behaviors usually signal that acceptance issues exist earlier in the model. By the time we observe actual system use, the decision to accept or reject the technology has largely already been made. And up to this point, the technology acceptance model helps explain why systems succeed or fail after they are introduced. Used strategically, however, TAM becomes a way to shape adoption before implementation ever begins. Applying the model early means asking how users will perceive the technology, whether it will feel easy to use in real-world conditions, and what beliefs or experiences might influence their attitude. When organizations anticipate these perceptions and design around them, adoption improves and resistance becomes less likely. So the key takeaway is this. The technology acceptance model is simple. Technology is not adopted because it exists, or because it is technically more advanced. It is adopted because users believe it is useful and easy to use. When perception is addressed early, adoption becomes more likely. When it is ignored, resistance and workarounds are almost inevitable. Anyways, thank you for listening. That is all I have in regards to the basics of the technology acceptance model. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or if you have any information that I should know, please leave it in the comment section below. Thank you. Take care.